Hello and welcome to the MAIA Awards Show for 2026. That's the Money, Awareness and Inclusion Awards, where we look at the best entries we've seen this year, the people in the world that are working on financial literacy, financial education in a huge number of categories. We have 17 different category winners this year. The entries came from 41 countries. We had almost 250 entries, the biggest year we've ever had. And what we're going to do today is to go through the winners of all those categories with four of our judges. They'll be the announcers, the co-hosts for this program, and we'll get to see who is making money better in 2026. So I'll bring the judges on in a minute, but let me introduce them first. The first one we will meet is Joanne Jung. She is a professor at the National University of Singapore and also the founder of a group called Research for Impact. So very important judge there for us on our academic and also our other categories. The second judge you'll meet today is Ka-Ming Lim. He's the founder and CEO of a group called Money Fit. And also personally, he's the first person I ever had a conversation about financial literacy. And he's been on this with the MAIAs, helping the MAIAs since we began 5 years ago. These are the fifth MAIA award, so we're very grateful for him to be here today. Our third announcer today will be Alexander Clark. Alexander is the head of International and Asia Pacific for the Behavioral Insights team. Now, that's an organization that was behind nudge economics, behavioral economics, and we'll talk to him a little bit about the changes we're seeing in behavior in financial economics, financial literacy, financial education. Because we're not just interested in people knowing a bit more about money, we want to see how they can change their behavior around money. Last but not least, we'll introduce you to Frances Yong. Frances Yong was the winner of the anti-scam category last year. And we love bringing winners as judges, and she'll talk to you about her experience and why she started her anti-scam campaign here in Singapore. So those will be the four judges that you'll meet today. That's part of our 23-strong judging panel. And before we go into things, I'd like to just say thank you to some of them. I can't thank all of them. There'll be a screen popping up on screen now that you'll see all the names. I'd like to single out a few of them. I think we should start with Professors Anna Maria Lusardi and Adele Atkinson, both of them leading lights in the academic field on understanding what financial literacy and financial education means. Very, very important to us that they do this. I certainly couldn't judge the academic category without them. Then we'll see, we also had two members or two representatives of the world's biggest financial media groups. So we had from the Financial Times and the Economist Group. Layla Bolton is from the FT. She's a senior editor there, but she's also the liaison between the newspaper and their own financial literacy charity, FT Flick. And then we had Flora Latanka was a judge this year as well. Now, she was a winner last year with her work for the Economist Education Foundation, where they won for their topical talks, which are taught all around the world in schools about money, about the news, and helping people learn more about the world around them, but also the way that money operates in that. I think also that's a good moment to talk about how we like to bring winners back in. So as well as Flora and Francis, who we'll meet later, we had Fleur Iannazzo, who was the winner of last year's Best Book category, with her work for The Money Pizza, a great work there. And so she came back this year, a lot of help from her working on the book category itself, as well as other categories. And we also had Surya Banda was a judge this year. Surya was a winner last year on two categories for his work in India with Multiply by the Creator Foundation. Last but very much not least, dealing with the judges we had help with this year, we had special help from the Library of Mistakes, helping us judge our Best Book category. The Library of Mistakes is in Edinburgh, but is spreading all over the world. Is literally a library of financial history where people can go to learn about money and learn about the mistakes that have been made with money. So we're very grateful to them for helping us with judging our Best Book category. So that's the judges. And before we get to meeting some of those judges to announce this year's winners, I'd like to have a quick chat about why we do the MAIAs and why we want you to be involved with the MAIAs. We all know, I think if you're watching this, you're working on financial literacy and financial education, and we really appreciate what you do. And that's a huge part of why we do the MAIAs, is to show that appreciation. We don't think you're getting it anywhere else, or certainly not enough. And that's why we do this. But the other reason is we want to scale this industry. We want to make this cause bigger. And we often look to other places for inspiration as to how to do this. One of the places I look for inspiration for the MAIAs is the aviation industry. It might seem strange, but the aviation industry is something that inspires me on this. Now, you may not know this, that last year there were 4.99 billion passengers, air passengers, flying last year. This year it's expected to go above 5 billion for the first time. Even with all the things happening in the world, the airline industry will probably still grow to over 5 billion passengers in 2026. Now, it's an interesting statistic to me, because in 1926, we know there were just a few over 5,000 passengers in the year. So between 1926 and 2026, there has been a 1 million times growth in that industry, which is quite an incredible number. Now, a lot of people who, like our financial literacy advocates, are also fans of compounding. And for you, I've done the maths, and I think that's a 14.88% annual growth rate. Please check me. I'm very happy to be corrected on that. A very good growth rate over 100 years. Now, as any real fan of compounding knows, it doesn't all happen in one go, in linear. It's not 14.88% a year. There are faster periods and there are slower periods. Now, one of the fastest periods of aviation growth was actually in the years after 1926. So between 1926 and 1929, the number of passengers grew by 30 times. So from just over 5,000 to over 175,000 by 1929. So 30 times growth. If fans of compounding, I'll let you work that out yourself. Now, something must have happened in that 3-year period to see that kind of huge growth in a space. And it made people change the way they thought about flying. You can think if there's only 5,000 passengers in a year, people are scared of flying at that point. They don't know, if it's safe. They're really worried about doing it. By 1929, 175,000 people have changed their minds about this. Now, the thing that happened was that in 1927, Charles Lindbergh flew across the Atlantic non-stop. And people thought, if he can do that, if he can fly across the Atlantic non-stop, it's safe. I can take a flight myself. And that began the change in the aviation industry. It's the real starting point of where we saw people starting to fly. I think it's important to note this because Charles Lindbergh didn't just do this on his own. He didn't fly across the Atlantic because he felt like it. He was actually trying to win a prize. He was trying to win a prize called the Orteig Prize. Now, Raymond Orteig had launched the Orteig Prize in 1925 to give money to the first person to fly across the Atlantic. He had a very selfish motive. He was a French-American hotelier who had to travel backwards and forwards on ships all the time and wanted a faster way of doing it. I'm not sure if he ever flew across the Atlantic, but he created that change. And that is why we do the MAIAs. We think 1 year, inside all these winners, we're going to find our Charles Lindbergh. We're going to find the person who sets up the world and says, this is something we can do. We can change the way we think about money. We can change the way we learn about money. We can all get involved. And we can have that kind of 1 million times growth where all of a sudden the world is in a different shape. And that is why we do the MAIAs. It's why we want you to enter the MAIAs. It's why we want you to support the MAIAs. It's why we're so grateful that the judges do this. So that's why we're doing this, and that's why we'll see some of those winners in a minute. Thanks very much. Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be joined by Joanne Yeung, Professor Joanne Yeung at National University of Singapore, also the founder and creator of Research for Impact. You've been with us now for 4 years, I think, as one of our judges for the academic category at least. And I should also add, absolutely invaluable, because I wouldn't know how to even start by separating the finalists from the other categories. So Joanne is there from day one looking at those. So thank you very much, Joanne, for joining us today and also doing that. Perhaps before we look at the winners, what are you seeing in the academic category? Is it changing? Are we getting different things? What's happening?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me today, but also for all these 4 years. And in fact, Michael, I think what's been really exciting about being in the academic category for the last 3 or 4 years is really seeing how the landscape of the papers and candidates that we've seen has really done two things. Number one, it's really broadened out and it's also really deepened. And by that, I mean we're seeing a lot of new types of papers that are coming from different fields. We're seeing new methodologies. We're seeing, for example, this year we saw absolutely compelling randomized trials, observational studies, cross-sectional studies, but also psychometric studies and simulation studies. And we're also seeing, I think, a great deepening of the work. So we're seeing projects that reflect long-term studies that are unfolding over really tens of years of work. And it's finally, I think, showing how the field has reached like really a new point in how we're thinking about conceptualizing, defining, measuring, and evaluating financial literacy and financial education.
That's wonderful. It could be very tempting to try and take credit for that at the MAIAs, but I think that's nearly all down to Professor Anna Maria Lusardi's work with G53, isn't it? So could you maybe give a bit of background on that? Because for those who don't know, this is Professor Anna Maria Lusardi created essentially the academic study of financial literacy, didn't she? And this group that works together on it.
Yeah, no, I've been also very lucky to be part of that community, I think, from the time that I left my PhD, which is now far too long ago. But with Anna Maria's, I think, very pioneering work in sort of really trying to bring the rigor to the study of financial literacy and financial education beyond general consumer education and beyond general financial decision-making literature. I think we've really seen, firstly, her seminal work with Olivia Mitchell on trying to really pin down and define fundamental constructs behind financial literacy, and then really pushing forward for the evaluation of financial education programs at the same time. And over time, that's led to, first of all, really important international centers for the study of financial education. It's also led to international studies to benchmark financial literacy along with the kinds of work that's done by the World Bank on financial inclusion alongside. And then I think not just with the G53, which is an international network now of scholars in financial literacy and financial education, but also the very first journal that we've had in this field, and the opening of this particular financial literacy and financial education as and for those of you who are in this field, you know what this means, but as an official subject code for us when we think about academic studies. All of that literally, it's like being at the birth of a new star. It's watching a field really come out of space. And that's been just tremendously exciting to see that unfold and to think about how much work that's done, starting with Anna Maria's work, but really also today really snowballing with all of this new interest, and I think people really building on that very, very strong foundation.
That's brilliant. Thank you. And that's why we're so lucky that we have yourself, but also Professor Anna Maria Lusardi and the other academic judges who help us with this to connect academia with the rest of the people working on this subject, which sounds like a segue.
It does sound like a segue.
Should we take a look at the winner of the academic prize first before we get into some of those other categories?
Right. Well, I'm thrilled to be here actually to present this. And I have to say again, it was actually such a challenge to judge because we had such a number of really terrific entries coming from very different perspectives. But I think that the winner that we had this year, in my opinion, is really a terrific paper. The best paper for this year is called Lasting Lessons, The Long-Term Impacts of School-Based Financial Education by Veronica Frisancho. And I want to mention that Veronica is now a 2-time MAIA winner.
She is, yeah.
And I'll read not just Anna Maria's comments, but add my own to that. So Professor Anna Maria remarks that this is one of the best papers on the long-term effects of financial education using a rigorous financial education evaluation method, randomized control trials. It covers a large number of schools and students, and it looks really at what happens to students who are enrolled in this program over a number of years long after the evaluation is complete. And what it looks at are outcomes for life, from debt to debt repayment to employment, business formation. So not just how financial education affects students in school today, but how it affects their life trajectories. And it joins, again, a number of other works that Veronica has done looking at the spillovers of financial education, forming for us, I think, a new body on evidence on how financial education spills over into other domains, but also across time. So our feeling is that this will become a seminal work and be highly cited. So congratulations, Veronica. And again, I think representing a new standard for our field.
Well done, Veronica. And thank you very much. Who's next? What's our next category?
So our next category, which is, I think, very close to the heart of academic research, is looking at books.
Yes.
And so we're going to look at, again, and I think this was a very hard category to judge as well because of the diversity and the quality of literature that really came across the desk this year. But the key, I think, of the book is not just the lessons that it brings, but how these lessons are brought through.
Yeah.
The way that it really hits home and the kinds of audiences that it can reach. So for this year, I'm delighted to announce that the best book winner is The $10 Adventure by Danish Khatri. And this is actually one of the clearest winners that we've ever had in the Maya book category. So every reader who looked at this particular submission scored it higher than any other book in the submissions that we received. And I'll tell you a little bit about it. So this book is a highly creative educational tool that really successfully gamifies financial literacy. And it tries to teach how financial literacy is a series of active choices and not just a series of rigid rules. And it's in an adventure format for children. Right. And what I want to sort of emphasize here is that readers found that it was incredibly interactive. It allows children to follow the adventures of Daphne through a series of different choices that she makes with actual play money, which is a very clever way to show how reading and literacy and financial education can really enter the real world. A very innovative way that keeps children engaged. And I think one of the most telling comments that we have from one of the judges is that many parents should read it too.
Yes, very much. And I also, before we leave the best book category, I mentioned earlier on that this was also, we had a co-judging partnership on this with the Library of Mistakes. So they were actually one of the, they helped us with the judging of the book category, I think, very kindly, but it was a very appropriate area for them to help us with. But they also scored it the highest of all theirs as well. So every judge that looked at this gave it the highest score. So congratulations, Danish, on $10 Adventure.
Thank you very much, Danish, and also for giving us a great way to interact with our kids on this lifetime topic.
Thank you. What's next?
For the third category, I'm delighted to be here to present is on content creation. So a very modern evolution from the academic paper to the book to content creation. And I'm also particularly excited about this one. So this year, our content creator winner is the documentary movie This Is Not Financial Advice. Now, we've had film director Richard Curtis before, but this is the very first time that an actual movie has won a MAIA for content creation. And this movie, in fact, premiered at the Tribeca Festival to critical acclaim. It tells the story of engaging with the rise and fall of Dogecoin. Yes. And it also tells, I think, for everyone, a very compelling story of how everyday people in their everyday lives aspire to move themselves forward financially and what the pitfalls are, but also, I think, in some ways, the hope that comes with that journey. Reviewers call this, and not just our reviewers, a thought-provoking masterpiece and a living case study of how investing, gambling, technology, and social media intersect. It captures a defining moment in modern finance where access has expanded, but understanding has not kept pace. I think we recommend this highly to you. And I'd also mention that in addition to a MAIA award, the documentary has also an 88% score on Rotten Tomatoes. So eminently watchable. I think eminently worthy. Thank you so much for this submission.
Quite possibly in a Venn diagram of one, being very highly scored on Rotten Tomatoes and a MAIA winner. I think maybe the first. Yes. Excellent. Indeed. Thank you very much. And for your final award announcement, which category is that?
The last category that I have today, category 4, is for Best Educator. And again, I think in a category, in an award show like the MAIAs, I think this has particular resonance because it speaks so much to the actual work that we're doing at the heart of everything. And I think it has particular resonance for us because the winner for our category of Best Educator this year is West Bank. And West Bank is very special. It's a program that's run by students, so by young people themselves at Bellevue High School in Washington State. It's one of 20 states in the United States yet to mandate financial literacy as a high school graduation requirement. And I think what's so exciting and inspiring is to see young people really committing themselves to their own community with the intention of building this program and spreading it to other schools and areas. It's really impressive to see the sense of social responsibility and this delivery model working together. I think again, with the work that we've seen, and I think the thread running through the other awards as well, is that this is really our hope for young people navigating a new and challenging world. And it's really terrific for Best Educator to see that young people themselves are rising up into that category.
And
so congratulations,
very much,
Westbank.
very much. It's one of my favorite awards every year, the category, because it's actually the behind the start of the MAIAs is 7 or 8 years ago, I heard about a teacher in Singapore who was buying a book that I'd written for his entire class. And for 2 classes, he bought 50 copies of the book. And he didn't know I was in Singapore, and he didn't know I was going to give them to him. But he wanted to buy them because he wanted to. And the strangest thought went through my head. He deserves an award because just for doing that for his class. It's an incredible thing to do. And for Westbank, congratulations for doing the same thing, for taking it on your own and teaching the people in your own classrooms. It's incredible work. So thank you very much.
Yes, that's great, actually. And it's great to see the students themselves rising up and sort of saying this is something that we want to do for ourselves, but also for others. So again, congratulations, Westbank. Good for you.
Thank you. And thank you very much, Joanna. Thank you very much for helping us today with this.
Not at all, Michael. Hopefully next year.
Yes, definitely. I'm very happy to now be joined with the second of the judges who's helping us announce the winners today. That's Ka-Ming Lim. He's actually been a judge on the MAIAs since the very first year. And for my own personal journey with financial literacy, he was the first person I spoke to about working on financial literacy when I decided to start doing things more than a decade, maybe more, ago. And so he's been with the MAIA journey all the way through. So I'm very, very happy to have him helping us today, announcing the winners. I think also you have a very good perspective on financial literacy, having been working on it all this time in different ways with different things. What are you seeing recently, whether within the awards or outside of the awards, that is changing in the world of financial education or well-being?
I think there's a greater understanding of the need for financial literacy, however you term it. And I think over this recent, say the 5 years or even 10 years, there's been so much turmoil that people have been pushed into realizing their own shortcomings financially as well as educationally on the topic. So I think there's a much broader understanding of the value of financial literacy, both on a personal level as well as at a corporate level, where we found that there's a view that employees with less stress about money, less stress about everything, to be honest, can benefit and be more productive employees if they are more literate financially. Whether it's in terms of the number of days that they take off for stress leave, or just simply being more comfortable and more focused when they are at work.
Yeah, that's very interesting because it's also, we're going to talk about the for-profit category in a minute. And is that a place where you see that operating? It seems it's more aligned there than with, say, the non-profit side of things.
Yeah, I think that's right. We are seeing developments out there where companies are making more of an effort on that front. People who are a little bit further up the income chain than the normal focus of awards such as ours here. I think there's as much, if not greater, need for professionals to address some of their own problems on the financial front. Many problems of which they didn't know they even had to start off with. And I can't blame everything on AI, but there are many middle managers and those who were counting on a full 30 or more years of accumulating very, very slowly their sort of the pension pots or their self-directed retirement funds, suddenly having to manage unemployment or underemployment or retraining, and these are issues that I think people are starting to appreciate. If you're looking at the younger end of the higher income group, young professionals are aware that they need to do something. They're usually well educated, but not in financial literacy topics. And many of them know they need to do something, but they don't really know where to start. They don't know what they don't know.
Yeah. It's Who does? Yeah. No, okay. Thank you very much. I think also from the MAIAs perspective, we've always found it a very important category to have in there, because while some areas of financial literacy and education do belong in a non-profit world, someone should be able to work out a profit model, a business model for financial education, financial literacy. And so we hope one day we're going to find it inside the MAIAs. So let's, without going any more into this, should we announce the first winner of the I think for you it will be, is it the best fintech by
it
a
is the
for-profit
best
company?
fintech by a for-profit. So the winner of the for-profit fintech category is Money Group from the UK. Money as in MUNNY. We were looking at this as judges, and the idea of having a money coach available 24/7 is so important for those who feel either fear or shame, or both of those, about their financial situation, or who are simply time constrained. So very much what we were just saying, that people don't know what they don't know. They know they need to do something. They don't have the time. They don't have the expertise. And if there's a stress factor involved, there's even more hiding away from the issues that they need to address. So one of the things that came up in the video was that Andy said the most popular time to search for help in debt is between midnight and 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And that's telling in itself.
Yeah.
And this is an important and still somewhat ignored community, people who are working, people who are not in desperate financial straits, but do need help in managing their mental as well as their financial wellness. Because financial stress is real, and approaching it via employees does free it from conflicts of interest and product sales, which is a whole separate topic. The incentive system, the willingness or unwillingness of individuals to actually do the work and understand what's going on is a huge issue.
Yeah.
And good use of AI. The approach via employers will likely see a good ROI. Hopefully that's something that will be recognized more broadly, that financially and mentally healthier employees are good for business.
Yeah. Congratulations, Money Group. Well done. And keep it up.
The next one is for-profit projects for underserved communities.
Very important. Excellent.
So the best for-profit project working with underserved communities is Financial Literacy Australia. And this is the second year in a row that Financial Literacy Australia has won. We think that using Minecraft Education, which is an existing product but being used for this purpose, to teach financial literacy is a fantastic idea. The lessons themselves are short, easy to read, jargon-free, and the text-to-speech for the low literacy and low vision communities is, of course, very, very important. And the understanding comes from doing the interactive videos, the quizzes, Minecraft education activities, and also some of the everyday tasks which are understood in the MAIAs, but just, I think more broadly, the everyday tasks, the everyday dealing with money, grocery shopping or comparing bills, helps the people on the program to really turn the concepts that they have been taught into action.
Very good. Thank you very much, and congratulations again to Financial Literacy Australia. I think our next one should be for profits with adult education, isn't it?
Indeed. The best for-profit adult education winner is UK Savings Week by the Building Societies Association. And we think this is an excellent approach to accessibility by stripping away financial jargon and focusing on micro actions, small, regular amounts, things which will not really necessarily be missed, but which starts to form a habit for individuals and will show over time small results that get bigger and better. We think that that's very important. Micro actions are really important for any program. And but also by utilizing channels where the audience is already comfortably engaged. They dismantle some of the intimidation that can be associated with banking and savings.
Excellent. Your last category, I think, now. What have you got for us?
And the last category, for-profit school age education. And that is kids economy. Now, this is the second time that Braden Cobb has won a MAIA, having previously won 2 years ago when he was a teacher based here in Singapore, and who's now turning his school-based project into a broader business. And we feel that embedding stock investing education into the daily school activities of children is very, very innovative, and it sort of lowers friction of learning by making it easier for the teachers, many of whom actually also don't know much, if anything, about investing or outside of what they might have to be taught about. And there aren't any extra classes. It's all built into the program. Of course, this has come from a teacher himself, so he understands how important it is to integrate it fully into a classroom setting. And it makes it more engaging for the students because it becomes a part of their daily school lives.
Yeah, very good. Congratulations, Braden. Congratulations, Kids Economy. Before you leave us, I'll just mention one thing on that. After he won last time, I visited a class that he was running in Malaysia, and I got interrogated by 11-year-olds about investing, and they were asking me very detailed questions. I was like, what they'd learnt in that was really quite impressive. So congratulations and keep it up, Kids Economy. And thank you very much, Kao Ming, for coming in and helping us today with this, and of course with all the judging work you do for us as well.
My pleasure.
Excellent. And so I'd now like to welcome the third of our judges that's helping us announce the awards this year. Alexander Clark, as I mentioned earlier on, he's the head of Asia Pacific and International for Behavioral Insights team, which is the team behind so much of what we see in the world of behavioral economics, behavioral science, and the way that we move from knowing things to doing things. Possibly the simplest explanation, possibly overly simplistic. But please, Alex, tell us a little bit about that, but also how that connects with the MAIAs. And how you see those two things working together, because we're very grateful to have you on our team of looking at MAIA entries.
Thank you so much. So I work on our international programs in Asia Pacific, and that means that I get to work all over this wonderful region. And a lot of what I do is working on financial behaviors, and that can vary from saving for retirement, paying your taxes on time, and also things like business kind of growth. All of these financial behaviors are about behaviors and therefore have their roots in the science of behaviors. And that's really my interest in the MAIAs. It's why when we first started talking about this, my interest was looking for new ways to change financial behaviors and seeing that very much as the objective and the unit of analysis for as many of these projects as possible. So I've been really pleased to be invited back for this year to continue sort of trying to take that behavioral science perspective on some of these really interesting initiatives and ideas to drive financial inclusion. And seeing where, from my perspective, both in the comments and the judging, and also as we think about how we encourage new applicants, how we can encourage them to take an evidence-based approach and to use behavioral science to help inform their thinking as they're working out how to have the impact we really want to see them have.
And what, because now you judged for 2 years in a row, what sort of, have you seen changes? Do you use, I mean, it's you look at a lot of different entries, so it's possibly hard to say definitely this, but what sort of sense did you get of changes and any particular examples? Interesting.
So I've definitely felt very optimistic that we are seeing increasingly applications where there is a greater focus on behavior and a greater focus on evidence for impact. I think that's super important. I think that one thing that unites almost all of the applicants, actually I would say all of the applicants that we get, is their enthusiasm and their passion. These are always people who are working really hard and thinking really carefully about how they can try and make a difference in these important issues around financial decision-making, around financial inclusion. What separates, I think, the applications that really shine is from that baseline of great enthusiasm, great passion, is thinking about evidence, thinking about impact with a sort of sprinkling of behavioral science, or at least with a sprinkling of sort of evidence-based rigor around how they translate. And comparing last year to this year, I feel like we're seeing more and more of that, which is really great. We're seeing more and more applications where they're making it really clear, this is what we're doing and this is why this issue is so important. But perhaps more than that, this is why the specific thing we are doing for this group of people is going to help them become financially included. Not taking that as read, not saying that, you know, it's enough for us to do sort of, as long as people are financially literate, as long as people are financially educated, but thinking about how do we get to financial capability and how do we therefore get to financial adequacy. And I think that's super important. And it's been really great this year, I must say.
Good.
Seeing more and more applications recognizing that.
Yeah, because we had, this is something we didn't talk about even last year, I think, but we did spend some time with you looking through our actual questionnaire and seeing, could we tweak the language? Could we change questions, add things in to guide people towards saying, this is what we want to see from you. Are you doing this?
Yes.
And so when they do that, it's very gratifying because it also does help. This is for entrance next year. This does help the judges. It helps the judges to see you're doing this, and this will help you win if you have evidence of thinking through behavioral change and thinking and showing it actually happening.
Yeah, having a really clear, you don't need to be a behavioral science expert, I think, to write one of these applications, but you do need to recognize that the people reading your application, we haven't seen the nuts and bolts of what you're doing. We haven't sort of gone through that journey with you. And so it's not obvious to us how what you're doing, sort of what's the pathway to this difference, this impact you're trying to make. Like, why is it this specific thing is going to make this big difference? And so, I think you know, I'm really glad. I hope, you know, we'll probably have another chat coming up as well about how we can continue to help people. But it helps both sides. You know, I mean, I think everyone on the MAIAs side is really keen to make sure that applicants can write the best possible applications, and that we really bring out all these fantastic things that people are doing.
But also everyone who enters the MAIAs is not just trying to make a lot of noise about money. They do want to help people change the way they behave around money. So I think it is a really important conversation and a really important part of what we do. Should we find some winners?
Let's.
I think you've actually got something interesting. Your first one, I think you've got two winners. Well, no, one winner of two categories, I think.
A twofer.
Yes, exactly.
Bog off. Buy one, get one free. We're doing two awards together because for the best non-profit project in a developing economy and non-profit project for underserved communities, it's the same winner. It's the K-Nest pension scheme for the self-employed from Kenya.
Excellent.
So, I mean, these were two, I remember going through the entries for these categories, and they were both incredibly tightly contested and very varied. You know, we were reading about projects teaching financial literacy in war zones, and then a very different context here in Singapore, teaching migrant workers how to save more of their income. Exactly. And so, a really varied field. But I think that for me personally, in particular, I really remember this project because how we provide for retirement adequacy for self-employed persons, particularly in lower middle and to some extent upper middle income countries as we move towards gig work, is a super important policy question that we need to be answering. Recognizing that existing pension schemes are starting to look a bit 20th century. And so how do we provide something that works for people who maybe don't have a job for life in an office? You know, how do we make sure that we're not leaving this huge proportion, probably the majority of working people on the globe today? How do we make sure they're provided for? So really pleased to be able to give this project not one but two awards.
Congratulations, K-Nest, for a twofer. I've never said that before, but well done. Very congratulations, K-Nest. What's your next category?
I think non-profit school age.
Yes, that'd be right. This is actually generally the biggest category every year, and I think this year total number of entries was more than 35. I think.
Gosh.
And finalists were still in the region of sort of 15 to 20, I think, because we couldn't separate them. I couldn't separate them. That was your job.
The winner for MAIAs 2026 Best Non-Profit School Age is NGPF's Shady Sam's Slick Wheels. Next Gen Personal Finance has created a game so addictive that one judge apparently blamed being late to complete their judging as they got hooked on playing the game.
Won't say who. Won't say who.
Won't say who. The way it works is you become the loan shark. So you're trying to take money off borrowers as much as you can. And it's a way to learn the tricks of the industry from the inside. A really interesting idea, a really fun application, and as I say, certainly it's worked for the judges of the MAIAs. So hopefully, it can work for others.
It did. Having heard that from the judge, I thought I'd better take a look if it's that addictive. And half an hour later, I found I was still playing it.
I do think there's really great evidence on gamification within this space, particularly the work that's translated from sort of maybe the literature around misinformation and disinformation being translated into things like scams, things like sort of abusive credit practices. Yeah. So I think there's a really great sort of evidence legacy for this stuff to build on. It's great seeing these kind of applications.
And I think also worth mentioning that NGPF and Tim Ranzetta from NGPF are part of the group that has helped change the teaching of financial literacy in the US. So if we go back 5 years, I think only 6 states where it was mandatory. I think it's now maybe 30 states where teaching personal finance is mandatory in high school.
Fantastic.
And NGPF has been and Tim Ranzetta behind it has been a big part of that. So this is one of their projects. So it's if everything else is addictive as that, no wonder it's working out. So congratulations to NGPF.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, what have we got next? Non-profit for adult communities.
Yes.
So the winner of the best non-profit project working with adults is Credit Canada Gold Financial Coaching.
Yes.
There's lots of people who are seeking help who aren't suited for insolvency or debt consolidation. They have steady income but persistent debt and no clear path forward. What they share is not a lack of knowledge but a lack of structure, support and confidence. And this is a direct quote from one of the judges.
Yeah.
I think this really captures it. I mean, this is actually a conversation that some of us have been were having outside. Was this idea of people who sort of fall through the cracks sometimes with existing provisioning. This is even with the best designed sort of assistance and policies. And schemes, there's often these kind of cliff edge conditions that means you do get people who don't sort of neither one thing nor the other. And so making sure that there is something available for these persons is, I think, really important. Because, as I say, there's with financial behaviors as much as with health behaviors, prevention is a lot cheaper than cure.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Very, very true. Very true. And congratulations to Credit Canada Gold for that winning entry. I think you have one more, but we're actually going away from non-profit to one of our special categories now. Ooh. I think your last one will be green financial literacy, I believe.
So I think this is the best green financial literacy project, and it is Singapore's own Impact Investing Coffee Mornings.
Yes.
How lovely. Described as an excellent execution of accessibility. So stripping away traditional panels and presentations in favor of informal, facilitated, peer-led coffee mornings. So much less intimidating, a much better opportunity for people to kind of connect, and makes it a bit safer to ask the silly questions. Which I think is really important in this. I think there's lots of people with a lot of enthusiasm for this kind of subject, a lot of interest. Who maybe don't want to go to another lecture where someone's just droning on about it in a way that's a bit jargony and a bit hard to kind of get into, but just have a few kind of key questions that will maybe help bring them into this space. I think that's great. I think the emphasis on community and collaboration, I think, is really vital here. So congratulations, Impact Investing Coffee Mornings.
I love that. I think it's so tempting to do a big conference. It's so tempting to do something that looks impressive or sounds impressive, but actually that keeps people away, the people that want to learn and have questions to ask.
Yeah.
So I do think it's a very... I did this similar things with having tried to write a book, actually ended up doing workshops because the people in the workshops can have conversations with each other and learn from someone that they see as a peer.
Yes, and peer learning, I think, really
Yeah.
is important in this space. I mean, I think that there are lots of people who have great ideas about how we can look at sustainable finance, other issues around sustainability connected to finance and financial behaviors. But I don't think anyone's got the right answer just yet, right? Because there isn't a single right answer.
There isn't.
And so there's a huge, I think, benefit for treating this as a collective problem, which we're going to try and solve in a collective way.
Yeah.
And letting people, as I say, kind of learn from each other, see what's worked. Apart from anything else, there's quite good evidence fundamentally that it can sometimes be more effective to learn from a peer than maybe an expert, just because the peer is more likely to speak about issues that are really easy for you to understand, really easy for you to engage with, resonate with you, the realities of what it's like day to day, kind of making these kind of changes.
Brilliant. Congratulations. And thank you very much, Alex, for helping us again this year.
No problem at all. Thanks.
So now for the last of our 4 judges, definitely not the least of our 4 judges, we have Frances Yong, and unique among our judges today, because she's the only past winner of Maya out of our judges today. She won last year for her work with White Byte on what was a new category last year, the anti-scam category, which I think is... We started the Mayas 5 years ago, and doing anti-scam looked interesting but didn't seem compelling. And then in the last 5 years, it's become a category that we have to think about from a financial literacy standpoint. Can you tell us about your journey to working on anti-scam and why and what you do?
Okay, well, thanks for the opportunity. But before I get into the question, so Michael, I've always said this, financial literacy, especially financial inclusion when digitalization has happened, it is irresponsible when we have financial literacy without digital literacy. So how do we help people get up to speed with digital knowledge, and also scam literacy, because it's just so prevailing these days.
Yeah.
And how do I get into this category and why did I build White Byte?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, even being a fraud and cybercrime specialist myself, my mother was scammed during COVID.
Yeah.
So when she lost all her savings, I asked myself this question. There has to be something that we are doing as professionals that are missing the mark. And there are individuals out there, communities out there that are not understanding the education that we're providing. And so I decided to set up White Byte and really look into how can I make that education and awareness better, more relevant, but also to communities that otherwise would not have access to this education. And that's how White Byte got started.
Well, thank you. And congratulations for winning last year.
Thank you.
And should we jump straight in? Because I think this is now reaching towards the end of the award show.
Sure.
We're probably exhausting the people watching who are waiting for these categories. So what's your first category you're going to tell us about?
It's closing the gender gap. It's all
yes.
talking about inclusion as
one,
well.
yes.
Yeah. So, and the winner for closing the gender gap is Second Chance Money Skills from Texas.
Yes.
So, Second Chance Money Skills was really interesting for me when I read the case and how they have submitted it. They target a very underserved community, which is incarcerated women. As it is, with women, they already have less access to financial literacy, but when you're incarcerated, it just takes it to a different level. So these women are managing child support obligations while they're in jail, court-ordered fines, and years of debt, yet almost no one has ever taught them how to really manage their finances to get over the line. So, I'm really proud, and congratulations to Second Chance Money Skills. Good job and good heart.
Yes, well done. Very congratulations to Second Chance Money Skills from Texas A&M University, I believe, right?
That's right.
A project there. So congratulations. What have you got for us next?
The next one is entrepreneurship. And the winner of the entrepreneurship category is social entrepreneurship incubation in El Salvador. So they are the most accessible aspect of this project is its contextualization. So by moving away from abstract financial theory to really looking at what is it that entrepreneurs need. So they're teaching concepts like pricing, cost, sustainability, well within the frameworks of these participants. So it actually eliminates the intimidation factor for social entrepreneurs.
Congratulations there. I'm fairly certain that's our first winner from El Salvador.
Really?
I think so. So congratulations for that. We actually have a lot of representation from South America in the MAIAs, but I think the first time, because we have another winner early this year from Peru and Argentina who've won in the past, but this is the first from El Salvador. So to this day, it still amazes me that we have people in El Salvador who know what the MAIAs is. But yes, it's congratulations. Now, what's your next category?
The next category, it's on cryptocurrency and blockchain education. So the MAIAs judging panel is always very stringent, and I believe that this is only the second year an entry has scored high enough to win. So congratulations to Digit Labs. Well, the use of relatable near-peer university educators to deliver content to secondary students is a strong strategy for reducing intimidation. Even though Real X Education is at its early stage, the product shows potential for future growth, and I'm really excited to see where can you reach with your data coming from the future of your initiative. So well done, Digit Labs.
Congratulations. It's very true. So it's been one of the categories in the past years that we've not had a winner, because the top entry didn't score the same level as our other winners. And as you'll see from the slide that may still be up or was up before, there were no runners up and there were no special comments. Not because there were no other entries, but because they didn't score highly enough. So congratulations, Digit Labs. You've made the grade and you've won a MAIA. A very rare MAIA for a cryptocurrency education project. Now, I think this is a last MAIA we're announcing for today, and one close to your heart.
Very much so, very much close to my heart. Can I go ahead and
Please,
announce? Yeah. Okay, so this is the Best Anti-Scam Project 2026, and the winner is Scam Victim Alliance Australia. So well done. One of the difficult things about scam prevention, if I may just say a few words about it, it's we always focus on pre-scam, about prevention. But as scams become more sophisticated, it is also becoming a lot harder to detect. What happens when you fall prey to it? And victims always get an additional label of being greedy. That's why they sign up for the investment, of being lonely. That's why they sign up for romance scam. So all these labels indirectly blame the victims for it. So what Scam Victims Alliance has done is to set up a community and a support platform where victims can share their stories, and it's only with these data points from the victims that we can get better in scam prevention. So they are not just victims, they are actually victors. So well done also to Scam Victims Alliance Australia.
Excellent. Congratulations. And thank you so much for this. It means so much to us always to have a winner come back, and to know that we know that the judging is in expert hands because of a winner of the category in the past. So thank you very, very much for that.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Maya.
So that's all the MAIA winners for 2026. We had 17 categories, 16 winners because there was one twofer, as we announced earlier on. And really, congratulations to every single person that took part, that was a runner-up, to the special commendations, and even all the finalists as well. You're undoubtedly doing great work. Some of you need to remember to record a video. I'm just going to say that again now, because it scores some points, and there were potentially winners that could have been winners if they had recorded that video. I should have said that earlier, but never mind. But thank you so much for all the work you do, helping people understand money, whether it's avoiding scams or whether it's closing the gender gap or whether with school-age children. Whatever work it is that you're doing to help people with their money, it is really helping. And we love to see it, and we hope that by entering the MAIAs, it either helps you understand what you're doing or helps you reach a wider audience and help more people with your money. So I'm not going to say anything else, but maybe just remember to enter again next year with your video. And thank you to everyone who takes part, the winners, the entrants, and of course sponsors. Thank you very much.